Welcome everyone to the Let's Talk ICP podcast. Today is the episode number 51. That's cool. It's special episode now in Christmas. Just finishing the Christmas day. Today is 27 December, Wednesday. And we have today an amazing guest. He's one of my favorite guys in the community, in the ICP community. He's a polyphacetic guy, a polyphacetic person that always try to push boundaries, learn, improve, work hard, and explore new territories. He's an excellent writer, regularly featured in top lifestyle and business publications worldwide. Also, he advised over 30 Fortune 500 companies across North America and Asia in content strategy, design, and analytics. He's also an influential educator, journalist, an artist, and he's super involved as well in the new tech, in AI, blockchain, Web3. It's a real pleasure to have you here today with us, William Laurent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Javier. It's always a pleasure to connect with you again.
Cool, great. Yeah, I try to define you a little bit, but it's so difficult, man. You are doing a lot of things
Yeah,
in
it is
different.
difficult. It is difficult. And I do have a professional coach, and he says the same thing. He's like, I don't know what to do with you, like you pick something and go with it. But yeah, I mean, currently I do most of my work in the context of AI and Web3, right? So uh, creating Web3 content, doing Web3 journalism. I do some fintech, but it's been mostly focused on Web3 at this point.
Cool, great. Yes, I want to know more about you first. Tell us more about your past before to enter in the Web3 space. How would you define yourself and all the activities?
Yeah,
And we will discuss a little bit more about your journalist path and
yeah,
also about the artist part, design, photography, and then William as a Web3 marketer, right?
yeah. I'll try. So I'll try to give you a little bit of insight into my journey of on the path of how I discovered Web3 and crypto and ultimately ICP. But initially, my career journey started out. I was more in the arts, right? So I was doing art. I was an artist. I was a semi-professional musician, making money playing. And then I realized that look, all my friends were in technology and they were making a lot of money, right? So I learned how to code, right? I learned how to code. I went back to college. I took classes on database. So very shortly, I opened a business in New York. I have an entrepreneurial spirit. So I opened my own company called National Information Management in New York, and that lasted almost 20 years.
Mhm.
In the context of that role, I was advising companies in their data strategy, data science, in analytics, but it was also heavily focused on the marketing side. So taking data analytics and putting that on the marketing side, right? So, looking at how effective campaigns were, looking at how effective those things were. But sometimes it would be looking at trading desks, like what trading desks were generating the most revenue. So it was very, very heavy at the end of the day, though, in data with the marketing angle. Some point in my tech career, I realized that um, a lot of work was coming to me that was, I would call soft work, not technical work, but anytime that somebody wanted a presentation to give to the CEO or managing director, they're like, hey, William, you write this, right? You do the design for it, you do this. So I became that person that was the facilitator of communication between the tech people and
Mhm.
the non-tech people. And I also realized that not everyone writes well. So to define my differentiated value in my career, I started writing, I started teaching, right, about business intelligence, about data analytics, about marketing analytics. And, ultimately, because I'd been an artist in the beginning of my career, that started coming back again as well. So after COVID, I think a lot of us went through some huge career changes. I think you did too, right? During that time, we sort of looked at what we were doing in life, where we want to be, where we were, what our skills were, what we like doing, enjoy doing, and reassess that and take a new path. So during COVID, I started to look around and investigate what is Web3, what is blockchain. I knew about the technology, but I just thought crypto was a scam. But I started learning about Bitcoin. I started learning about some of the altcoins at the time, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, um, and I found a decentralized social media application called DSO that I'm still on, which I have a pretty big following. And DSO was a way for was my first, I think, doorway into Web3, and I wanted to come on a platform that was completely new. I was in there in the first week and show my art and like sort of like be a big fish in a small ocean. And then started building friendships, started learning more about Web3. Shortly after that, I took over a role as the editor-in-chief and chief creative officer for a Web3 company called Blockster out of Miami. And Blockster was a very promising Web3 startup, crypto startup. I don't want to go too much into detail. They're still around, but they had a lot of issues. So during that time when I was at Blockster, I did meet Ricardo at DFINITY. He actually reached out to me. This is a fun story. When I was working at Blockster, Ricardo, I think, and Dom had found Blockster and had found our like news desk that I was running. So Ricardo reached out to me on LinkedIn and he said, the email was something like, "Great job." That's how he started it. So it got my attention, right? It was very
Yeah.
brilliant. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, who's this Ricardo guy? Like, do I really want to talk to this guy? He wanted to set up some time with me. And we had a really nice conversation. And nothing really came of that. And when my project in Miami started wrapping up, I reached out to Ricardo and said, "Hey, I just wanted to say hello and see what was going on." And then boom, right? I started working with DFINITY on the FastBlocks application, which you remember was built on the Nuance D app.
Yeah.
So we were really the first all fully on-chain Web3 news desk. So that continued for almost a year, and there was, I would say, uh, I think it was a good proof of concept. There was a lot that we still needed to do, but it was, as everything in Web3, it was funding, right? So, I think the ICP and the NNS and SNS is in a better position now than it was like a year and a half ago as far as being a launch pad. I'd like to try to do this again, maybe FastBlocks 2 or a different brand name or something else, because we still, this was a good proof of concept for Dom that we could do this, but I think it's time to go to that next level. Okay, what did we learn? Let's reapply those learnings and do this even better way.
Yeah.
So after FastBlocks, I've just been involved with DFINITY. I was in charge of the newsletter and some other things, and now I'm working with DFINITY on a grant basis, right? So the content you see, I put out a lot of ICP content. I put out songs, I put out articles, and so on and so forth. And I'm obviously very bullish on ICP, but it's important for me to throw that disclaimer out that yes, I am working on a grant basis with ICP.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
So
Yeah,
there is, so I have skin in the game. I'm not just the guy out there that's like holding signs saying, "Hey, I love ICP." I do.
yeah.
I
I
wouldn't.
love
I
the
wouldn't do
posters
this
as
if I
well.
didn't.
Yeah, I love it. Man, this is so original, to be honest. The first time that I saw you like with a poster, right, in different cities, like, "Hey, I love ICP. This is the eight advantages of ICP compared with other Web3 or blockchain layer ones, whatever." It's like, man, this is this is amazing, right? It's not
Well,
the small
here's,
posters, like the
yeah.
big ones.
Well, that's sort of a marketing hack too, is that when you hold a sign or when you do anything with your arms outstretched like this symbolizes victory, right? It symbolizes dominance. And people see that and people want to read what's on your sign. I also notice if I don't smile, I get less views than if I smile. So most of the time I'm smiling, but it's that brain science angle that I'm trying to
Mhm.
introduce to some of what I do, in that even with the articles I've been writing lately, the graphics, if you scroll back on my Twitter feed, you'll see um, a little ICP character and they're like this or like this, like, and
Mhm.
it just conveys that sense of accomplishment and victory and sort of pulls people in. So, I'm still experimenting with these marketing hacks, but I think I'm learning a lot what works, and I'm trying to bring, something new, like sort of this new asymmetrical marketing style into crypto, and be original. And
Yeah.
you see, I've been writing songs about ICP too, that plays into it as well.
No, that's fantastic. Yes, I'm curious. I didn't know the story. You were working in the Blockbuster. No, sorry, Blockster, right? Crypto
Yeah.
Wheel Blockster. It's like a
Yeah.
magazine, or what is exactly?
Yeah, so Blockster initially they wanted to be decentralized social media built on Ethereum, have content creator tipping, sort of like a Twitter or what DSO is now. Like DSO would have been a competitor, or what you have on ICP with DSCVR, and that was just too ambitious, right? So then they scaled down. They wanted to be more of a news aggregator, news portal, and they're just on life support right now. But it was really, I think, important for me to take that role because I learned so much about crypto. So it was crypto, learning about the tokenomics, learning about the technology, learning about the NFT, like the whole ecosystem, the whole market, right? Learning about DeFi, all those different verticals in Web3 I got exposed to, and it was sort of like a crash course. One thing I wanted to just touch on really quick is that what I think worked for me in Web3, and one of the things that made it such a good fit is that I was able to bring like my content creation, because I've always written for magazines, in my tech career before, the content creation, the artistic side, right? Because I had sold art in the past, I was selling NFTs, and the financial Wall Street world and the data analytics, and sort of like bring those all in and blend those together. And I think that as long as, and I think you're similar in the sense that you're a lifelong learner, right? We're just always learning and taking information.
Hmm.
And where is a better place right now to just be a lifelong learner than Web3? Because all the people, like every day I'm surrounded by people that are just so much smarter than me, right?
Hmm.
Where else can we find that? So it's just been super exciting to wake up every day and be like, what am I going to learn? Like, what can I do? What can I do that's original? And it's just super amazing.
Yeah, you combine a lot of different things, right? Also, you were working for the American Banker, writing articles about the most powerful woman in banking and
I
finance.
still do. Yeah, that's a
You
yearly
still do?
project I do. It's a very important project. I think I've done 4 years. Next year will be the fifth year where we interview and write about literally the most powerful women in finance, which essentially is the most powerful women in the world, right? So,
Hmm.
I've done pieces on Abigail Johnson, who's the CEO of Fidelity. I've done pieces on Jane Fraser. A lot of times I'll have to be on a Zoom call and talk to their team or talk to the actual women themselves. And, I think that it's a very, very important project because, I have a daughter, and, I'm always looking for role models and other women that she can sort of like follow and be confident as she progresses through her STEM career. Other women that have sort of like made it and broken the glass ceiling. So yeah, it's a project I do every year. Super excited. It's a difficult project, but it's fun and it gives a lot of visibility.
Yeah, but also if you're in touch with this woman, like the most powerful woman in banking and finance, as you mentioned before, like global, also in general, right? Like the woman, the powerful woman in the world, it's another way that you can evangelize internet computer because like the features of ICP and the powerful that internet computer is. And
Yeah,
I have background in finance as well, in risk
I know.
departments and control
Yeah.
and compliance and other
Yep.
things, and yeah, this is the it's a challenge, right? Like try to, like the traditional banking, try to adapt and attract these big companies to the Web3 ecosystem, that maybe like for them is like even competence, like we are like, they think like maybe we are stealing their money, right? And convert in a decentralized way. But if we can in some, and it's happening now, right? A lot of Fidelity you mentioned, or other big Bank of America and other big
Yeah.
corporations. We are talking about as well the ETF, right? In
Yep.
Bitcoin to be approved maybe in 2024. How we can attract more, these global enterprises to be part of
Yeah,
the ecosystem.
great question and great points. And to your point, also, one of the women that I had profiled, Nadine Shankar, used to be, she was really the person that worked at State Street that built out their digital asset desk, right? I mean, that was at the time, and maybe still is, the most state of the art and most important, Wall Street based digital asset management infrastructure and ecosystem. And we had her on when I was doing spaces under the DFINITY account, Twitter Spaces. We had her on, so that was like really cool, right?
Yeah.
But in general, you mentioned the ETFs. There are a lot of digital asset management desks being built out right now in Wall Street. I mean, Fidelity, Abigail Johnson's very bullish on Bitcoin. She talks about it a lot. Fidelity's really taking the lead there as well. Yeah. So your question is like, how do we bridge the gap between that Wall Street world that's starting to adopt digital assets, Bitcoin specifically, and Ethereum, and our sort of Wild West world that we have now? It's going to take a long time, and a lot of companies that we know of and applications that we use are just going to be done. They're just going to be, because I'd feel a lot safer keeping my Bitcoin with State Street or Fidelity than I would keeping it other places. I'm not going to mention the names of some exchanges, but I'm not, I've known so many people that have been hacked from their MetaMask or clicking on the wrong link, that self custody is not always the best option for some people. So, I think, things like MetaMask, some of these just scary things that we use to manage our digital asset portfolios are going to go away and be disrupted as the big Wall Street and big finance corporations start to enter the space. So, it's gonna take time. Like, if your question is more like, how do we get more people into Web3, it's a longer conversation, and I would stripe that conversation on different verticals, right? Because you have gaming, you have NFT, you have finance and DeFi, you have launching startups. So it's we're still early, right? We always have to remind ourselves we're so much earlier than we realize sometimes, because we get it, like we understand how these things work. We understand like DAOs and tokenomics and launch pads and all these things, but most people don't, and it takes years to really learn.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course. And also, yeah, we know like the roadmap for example, just for the internet computer is 2040, right? The mainnet was started like the launch 2021, only 2 years, right? And we have a long path to be mainstream internet computer, and takes time, and in general blockchain as well. But also, yeah, you mentioned, and I was participating as well in the FastBlocks. It was an amazing initiative. I think one of
Yep.
the first 100% on-chain, if not the first one, 100% off-chain media, to, like a lot of different articles, different perspectives, different opinions, authors. And also, how many articles you wrote in FastBlocks?
We
More than 50, or I don't exactly.
we had yeah, I think, and that's always a difficult thing about being an editor, because you don't have time to do articles
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Yeah.
So we tried to get out between 15 and 20 pieces a week. And, I had a pretty heavy editor's pen. So I got a lot of things, and I wound up just sometimes rewriting things, or, we had writers that didn't work out, didn't deliver what I wanted to. So it was a lot of work just on editing and operational stuff. So when I did get time, yeah, I think I probably wrote about 50 pieces. But my main KPI there, Javier, was just like getting getting things out every week or every day,
Mhm.
a lot of times there was no break. Like it was okay, Saturday, boom, we got to publish something. Sunday, we got to publish something. So my KPI was just, can we hit? I think my initial target was, can we hit 15 original pieces every week? And I had a lot of support from Martina there in Zurich, and then after Martina took more of a role with DFINITY, I had a lot of support from Iana on the graphic side, on the operational side. So definitely, you, I did a certain amount of work on the front end that people see, but there was so much happening behind the scenes. I had a lot of help. It was a lot of work, and I really appreciate everybody. It was a hell of effort to get that thing running.
Yeah, of course. And it's not only writing articles, it's also editing the articles, review the articles, get information and see which type of news maybe are engaged with the public, are fit with FastBlocks and also like connect with other authors across the globe. Because I remember we had people from Africa, Asia, Europe, America. It's across the globe, right? And again, it's every single day. I remember it was posted like 2 3 news or even more, and it's like crazy. It was
Yeah,
an amazing job during a year. It was so hard, and yeah, I was part of. I remember I wrote like 5 6 articles, and I was yeah, so good, and so happy to be part of this initiative, the fast blogs. And yeah, it would be great if you can maybe in the future restart again, or
I hope
evolve
so. We've been sort of,
evolve evolve in
yeah,
some way. Yeah.
yeah, we've been sort of having some discussions behind the scenes. And again, we'll see what happens. But there was something that was just very satisfying, that each time a piece went out that was published, and I could say, okay, Javier, your piece is ready to publish, and you hit that button, and you see it going up, and it's just like, wow. And anything that can go wrong in publishing will go wrong. I wrote something, and I was contacted by the Federal Reserve Board, and if they had read something and like, no, 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 you got to change this right away. And it was really freaky knowing that, you know someone in the federal government, I guess they have very powerful indexing, that they saw the piece when it went out, and right away they were able to say, you need to redact this. And I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So it's never a dull moment. Always exciting when you're writing about anything in crypto.
Yeah, exactly. And this that here is a good example that is like 100% on chain and decentralized, right? We are trying to have the voice to everyone, and then yeah, we can even edit the news. It's not like, okay, this is the truth. Maybe we need to change something. Maybe some opinions are wrong, and we need to to adapt a little bit. And that's yeah, it's so cool. And another topic and another thing that you're pretty strong is in the artist side, like more like as a designer. I saw like in your website you have a lot of collections. You mentioned Diso, the collection,
Yeah.
also a lot of canvas, Friends, Loves and Enemies, Bella Musica, A Separate
Yeah, yeah.
Reality. Also, like you are like a photographer as well. I saw like your amazing job like in the Chernobyl series, Oblivion Japan. uh, yeah, and as an artist, do you have like any NFT collection? Because I saw like a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah,
so I started my NFT journey on DeSo. So most of the work that I've sold is from DeSo, and I've made some pretty good traction. That was back when everything was a bull market and people were buying my digital pieces. I also converted some of my canvas pieces to NFTs. People were buying those, and they'd often buy with no utility. Sometimes I would have the utility is if they bought a piece, I would like hold a sign for them, with the message. So trying to tie that sort of um, uh, viral asymmetrical marketing utility to the NFTs. It's a little bit complicated, but
mhm,
I had a nice little run, and then we hit a bear market. We also had I was accepted into Foundation pretty early, and that was when like you could only get on Foundation if you were pre-approved, or you had to have an invite and then you had to be approved. I think I sold one NFT on Foundation. I just didn't have the time, and shortly after that, I discovered DeSo, which has no gas fees. I discovered ICP, which has no gas fees. So I'm going to continue with the NFTs on DeSo. I've been also looking at other chains like Solana, but um, if I can figure out the right path forward, I'd love to have a collection on ICP as well. I just initially I was when I was talking to the guys at Entrepo, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to release something, and then it just hasn't happened because time.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. And the now you're living in Japan, if I'm not wrong.
I'm living in Japan. I'm here visiting a family in Florida for Christmas.
Mhm.
But yeah, living in Japan and enjoying it. And the ironic thing about Japan is I'm living in Japan, and pretty much everybody that reads my stuff or follows me on Twitter, et cetera, is outside of Japan. Pretty much every country except Japan. So a little bit. I need to do a networking tour, I think, next year in Japan and connect myself a little bit better now that I've been back.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a one interesting topic because I know you were based in Florida, and also in in United States. You know pretty well the Web3 community there. You were assisting different events, conferences. But I'm curious, like compared with United States, for you, Japan. In terms of blockchain adoption, Web3, even Internet Computer Protocol, what is your opinion? You see like oh, this is like a new world. They don't know anything or totally different.
Yeah,
It's like
we
for
have
you
a
you are surprised about how many people are interested in blockchain and they are pretty knowledgeable or
I think we have a long way to go with ICP. There is awareness in Japan of crypto, not like there is in the US or Canada.
Mhm.
And there certainly is a retail element. But when it comes to ICP, yeah, there's a lot of education that needs to be done. Japan would be a great place to have a hub. I know that that's been being discussed, I think, among certain people with DFINITY, but the language barrier is pretty big. And I think the hope was that in the past, the hope was that Japan would be like Hong Kong, right? Where, okay, English is sort of like the language, but you have Chinese and you have Mandarin and Cantonese and you have English, and Japan would be the same way where you have English and you have Japanese, but it hasn't changed in the way that we thought it would, and the country is still very, very much runs on the Japanese language. So we don't have much content for ICP in Japanese. We don't have much traction. So if anyone from Japan is listening to this, they should reach out to yourself or me, and maybe we can explore how to change that. But in terms of crypto adoption in general in Japan, I'm don't see the excitement that I see in the US. And maybe that's just out of my ignorance because I'm not necessarily in those crypto circles in Japan. But the interesting thing about Japan is even though they lead the world in robots and bullet trains and they build these amazing mobile devices, is that not everybody, when it comes to the practical application of technology in a business, they're usually behind. And here's an interesting story. My apartment that I moved into Japan, we had to get the phone company to come out and actually do construction and install all the equipment in the house because the people that have lived there before us and before them never had internet. Never. I guess they watch TV or they use their mobile phones. So
yeah.
you see that a lot in Japan, where it's just it's weird. I am not the best person to ask about crypto in Japan because it's just not in my world yet there.
Yeah, but you also are like a good connector. You mentioned before, you are a facilitator, right, between the tech guys and maybe like data scientists or engineers and the real world. Because to be honest, yeah, this is
Yeah.
like less than 0.5% of the world are like
Yeah.
cryptographers or or
Right,
engineers.
right,
The
right.
regular people, the normal people are, artists or doctors or working in whatever in restaurants, whatever is their job. And this is we need people as William, right, that can connect and can show the real value of these blockchains of internet computer in that case to in general, right? In your opinion, what is the way and how we can fix this issue, right? This problem, because again, when I joined with you as well, DFINITY in 2022 or 2021 for the special projects team, we realized like there is like a big gap between, you know, the people in general and also the technology, right? And everything on the internet computer is not easy to understand, right? In general,
Right.
in blockchain is different terms, you know, complex things, and also we need people that facilitate and connect, you know, these you know, a super technical guy with the rest of the world. In your opinion, William, what is your strategies, or how yeah, you can achieve these things that you are doing before, and for sure you're
Yeah,
going to.
it's a great question, and we know I'll answer this sort of longish, so forgive me. We know that we're lacking in marketing, and we know that ICP's tech is much better than, say, Solana, right? But look at how Solana is just growing because they just do really smart stuff, like the Solana phone and how they gamified that is absolutely brilliant. We need to think asymmetrical out of the box, and we need to do a better job of getting people to come on ICP and use the D apps. And it's not just about doing evangelism about, okay, this is great, you know, it's fully decentralized and the storage is so much cheaper and 2-second finality and all that. We need to get people on the platform. So in the past, some of the metrics that we were using for the grantees, people that received grants, were like, okay, you know, how many signups did they have, say, on OpenChat, or how many wallets, and you know, I think those are good, but we need to go that next level. We need to make sure people stick. And as you know, ICP is still very much and DFINITY is still very much of a technology company, which is great. We have the best tech, but it's how to convey that tech to you know, to the general public. And case in point, I had an issue with the NNS where I didn't understand something, and it took me 5 meetings till finally I got Kyle Langham, and he's like, okay, this is what. But I, you know, I had asked
Yeah.
influencers in the ICP ecosystem. So the swap, crypto is good, Bitcoin Renegade, 6 figs, and none of them could give me the answer. And
Mhm.
just, you know, we're supposed to know these things as ICP influencers, but we don't. I think we need the people that are evangelizing and influencing ICP. We need to do our homework. We need to keep learning more. There's so much to learn. When you learn about like how nodes are distributed and how canisters are topped up and what the cost is and how it depends on what node setup you have, it's extraordinarily complex. And
Yeah.
we need to just do a better job knowing how everything works together. So, you know, that's one thing. The second thing is a lot of the, you know, technical jargon and technical writing that we see on the you know, the website on the ICP forum, like we could take some of that and package it better, and so that it's just more digestible to people that are, like you said, not tech people, artists, doctors, lawyers, whatever. And there has been a lot of great work. You know, it takes time, and that it's step by step. But I want to just hit one thing that you mentioned when we came on to DFINITY initially in marketing. There was so much FUD out there on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, like, oh, DFINITY sucks, ICP's a rug pull, every day.
Yeah. That's true.
And through our efforts and our hard work, almost all of that went away. It's very, very rare. When I do see somebody that's saying something bad about ICP, it's always a troll, or maybe it's somebody that is legitimate, that maybe has something, a legitimate complaint or observation, say, about the ICP burn or the tokenomics, or something that's very, very low level and deep. And that's always addressed, right? We can always address that and get them in touch with the right people. So it's a journey, and, you know, mission accomplished on the first part of that journey, which was to let the world know, no, this is not a rug pull, this is not a scam. We have more ex-Google engineers working on this project than any other blockchain. So you know, I think now we're really ready to go into that hyper growth mode.
Yeah. I'm totally
And
agree
and
with.
you're doing a huge part of it. Your work with hubs, like hubs are doing a lot of heavy lifting on those lines, you know, like doing the events, doing the content, doing the boot camps. That's huge.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is an amazing initiative, the ICP hubs. And yeah, as you mentioned before, the two aspects I'm totally agree. The first one is true, right? Only if you know in general, like the concept of internet computer and dive in more, you can explain to a 5 years old children how it works, the technology, right? But if you don't dive in and you just like, okay, we are marketing, we are like people that try to explain how it works, internet computer, but then it's mandatory. You need to like dive in and you need to like digest everything and understand like the concepts because it's a complex technology to explain in an easy words, right? But if the marketing people don't understand ICP or they don't like dive in a lot, it's impossible to explain in an easy words. And I'm totally agree. And yeah, of course, we have to struggle a lot with FAD and you know, like people are saying like DFINITY and internet computer is a scam, whatever, blah blah blah. And we did an amazing job, and that's it was fun that moment, I remember, and it was tough for us. But yeah, I think we did an amazing job, of
And
course.
and it happened so quickly. I remember, so the Women in Web3 conference in Miami in 2020, 22, I think it was 2022, sorry, losing track. That
Yeah,
conference, people were coming by FastBlocks. We had a booth and people were coming by and they saw the DFINITY logo and they're like, oh, wait, isn't this a rug pull? Isn't this the project that you guys, constant people coming by saying, oh, you guys are a scam. Isn't this a scam? Total FUD. Within 6 months at Bitcoin Miami, it was completely opposite. Everybody wanted to hear about ICP. Like there was just no bad vibes at all. And if
yeah,
there was, I didn't feel it or see it.
that's cool, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, you did an amazing job to spreading the word about the internet computer. And also, your writing is brilliant. You are like an amazing writer. You write really really well. For like people that now are starting working in blockchain, Web3 marketing, and want to have their own magazines or newsletters, or they are starting now to create content. What is your message to them? What is your tips, to write better, to be like a better editor and better
Yeah.
journalist?
Well, I would say that's a two-part question, right? One is how to write better. The second, or writing well. The
Yeah.
second question is more about how to offer some differentiated value, because content alone has very little value unless it gets people to take some action or feel a certain way or do something, right? And no one's just going to subscribe blindly. The first thing is obviously AI helps. AI helps in the sense that it will help you get unstuck. It will help you do research. It's not going to make a bad writer a better writer. It's not going to make a good writer a great writer. You still have to go in. You still have to grind. You just have to. Anything that AI gives me, sometimes I'll use, but I'll heavily, heavily edit it. And I'm at the point now where I know how ChatGPT thinks. I can go to LinkedIn. I can see people's posts. And right away, I say, that's ChatGPT. I know how ChatGPT talks. I know the tone of voice. I know its vocabulary. I know exactly. And I would tell people, the first thing I tell them is that I can tell, and I told this to a lot of writers, this was written by AI. And if I can tell it's written by AI, you're not going to, number one, you're not going to write for me, but, people need to learn to write with the help of AI, but not be totally over reliant on it and on AI, because I
Mhm.
still have yet to see anything the AI did that I thought was worth anything, other than sometimes I'll say to AI, give me something about subject A in the style of a famous comedian, right? So I'll say like Chris Rock or Louis C.K. or Jerry Seinfeld, and it does some pretty good stuff. And that think of AI as sort of a content aggregator, and you can get ideas from, or you're actually the aggregator, but it's giving you ideas, and you need to be the orchestrator and the aggregator. The
Yeah.
second part of that question is how to package that content so that people care, and it has value, and that's really really tricky. And this is something that I struggle with every day, because the reality out there, Javier, is, especially in Web3, and I've researched this with Six Figs and with a lot of other people that in the ecosystem, people care in crypto about, can they get rich, about green candles, and they care about the technology as second, much like further down here.
Yeah.
If you look at the people that get the most views, the most clicks, it's always the sensational stuff like this coin could 10x, could 100x, and the more sensational it is, the more people will click on it. So and that has no value. That stuff has no value, but yet people want to click on it. So
Yeah.
the big problem for me is how to get people to read my stuff about the internet computer in a way that is digestible for them, in a way that, they just want to read it in the first place, right? And how do I make that content have value? And just, talking all day about price action has very little value because it's speculation. So myself and all of us, I think we need to do a better job at going 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet into the technology. We're only riding about 1 foot. That's going to require us to interface more with the people in tech. And we have the global R&D meeting that's open to the public every month. That's helpful. But I think both sides need to bridge the gap a little bit more. We need a little bit more input from the technology team, and we need a little bit more influence on, okay, how do we get the message out? I need to agree on that. And there are certain ways that we can gamify things. There are certain ideas that I have about how to send people on a content journey, right? Maybe put it in a game. Maybe have like a treasure map, and then every day you'll find something new about ICP. It's like, oh, decentralization, or the greenness of the blockchain, or whatever. Like doing that in a way that gets people interacting with the ecosystem. So it's complicated to set these things up. But if you look at Solana, if you look at some of the other chains, they do this very well. And we need to think a little bit more long-term and out of the box, because there's a story arc out there that we can put to work for us to get people into ICP. I hope that makes sense.
No, for sure makes sense. Yeah. And I'm agree. The thing is for the price, like now it's like full of false traders on Twitter and other social media, just posting, graphs with like 3 trend lines. And then it's like, oh, this is like, rocketing, whatever. And then even they, they post after, the Solana is like up, 15%, 20%. Oh, Solana, blah, blah, blah. It's easy, right? To talk about Solana when it's pumping like 50% or 20% or whatever, or even ICP, right? Internet computer. During the bearish market, no one talk about ICP in general, and in general about crypto. Now, if you see like how many posts are from blockchain, are crazy, right? Because now it's like,
Yeah.
again, looks, the bullish market is coming, and we saw like a lot of
Right.
cryptos like like rocketing. But that's true, man, and I'm so tired to see like a lot of traders like, man, what is your portfolio, what is your experience as a trader, right? Don't like post here like
We'll
three
never
graphs
know.
with 3 lines,
Yeah.
and then, oh wow, I'm this is true, man, and I'm
Yeah.
so
So,
yeah.
I have to be careful with that also. And if you notice, like, I think, well, like say on the threads where I was holding the sign, like 9 things I love about ICP, or like those types of things. I think my language was like, can my signs make ICP soar? Like I might have said, can I make ICP 10x? I mean, that's clickbait. But I put it as a question. I'm not out there, like some of these influencers saying like, oh yeah, rah, rah, rah,
No, but
because
yeah.
yeah.
But the thing is,
So
like, you announce, like, hey, like whatever. But I mean, like more like graphs, with trend lines. Like people like
right.
think like they are expert in technical analysis, and then it's like, man, are you like, really how it works, technical analysis or fundamental analysis, and what is your experience as a trader? And before I saw like, like normally like expert traders doing this, but now is everyone is on the trend, and everyone like post random, like post about graphs, like maybe like cryptos, that no one
Yeah.
knows. Wow, this is like rocketing 300%. This is the new Solana, the new Ethereum, whatever. It's like, in my opinion, is there are a lot of scams there, and a lot
There are
of people that,
so right, and there
yeah,
are so many things in crypto that you can't just look at a chart, because let's take Solana for instance, where you have equity holders in Solana and you have coin holders. And if the equity holders in the Solana Foundation think that too much value is being delivered to the coin holders, then they can sue, or there's a problem. Like there's so much tied up into the tokenomics of so many of these cryptos, right? And what I love about ICP is, yes, the tokenomics are extremely complicated, but once you start understanding it, it's pretty darn brilliant. And a lot of people out there, one thing I saw the last week that really annoyed me is these idiot influencers saying like, I don't like ICP because it's infinite supply. They don't understand what that means, right? So, you do have to have new tokens being minted so that the people that are running the dApps can top up their canisters, right? But there are burn mechanisms going the same. It's not like, they make it seem like there's some there's some guy out there that's like going to be pushing the button mint, right? And devalue everything.
ICP
and I can
Central
tell
Bank
you,
doesn't
I
exist.
can tell you that that's the last thing that anybody wants, especially Dom.
Yeah,
They want
that's
to see that price going up.
Nice. Great, William. Yeah, nice talk with you, man. Normally I love to finish the conversations with like funny questions, more related about internet computer and the ecosystem. Are you like 8 years gang? Do you have like in the NNS some ICP tokens staked for 8 years?
I do. I have, I think, an 8-year neuron, which is now a 7-year, because I did start dissolving it because I'm like 8 years is a long time. I think I have an 8-year, a 3-year, and a 4-year, and some other ICPs, liquid. When this last run up came, I didn't sell any. Like, I was very tempted because I just think even in the short term, I think we're gonna catch a nice little rally. But I'm great question. I'm fully behind ICP, and I have not a lot locked up, but what I do have, most of it is locked in neurons, and I can't get to it for several years.
Nice. Yeah. And this is something like maybe we can discuss in another conversation, but NNS and SNS, man, this is crazy. The way that works the network nervous system and the SNS, like all the companies can raise money and people be the owner of these companies. This is a real DAO, and that's something incredible that, in my opinion, is one of the best of the biggest achievements for the the foundation on the internet computing in general. How it works, the brain of internet computer.
Yeah, people need to realize that, and I know that our time's limited, but I've been out there looking at other launch pads and other ecosystems, and looking at like, I hate to name, but like MakerDAO or like some of the others. And what we have with ICP, the way it's structured, is so much more brilliant. It's just amazing, right? So people should not lose sight of the functionality and functional palette that exists on ICP for launching projects, right? No matter what you're doing, even if you're doing a meme coin, ICP is the place to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And what is your DApp that you use in a daily basis or weekly basis?
Open chat, man. Open chat. I always say it's open chat. I hate paying the money for Slack. I refuse to pay those guys. And open chat has literally the same functionality that Slack does. And I know that I don't have to pay for it. I'm not going to just wake up one day and I'm going to be like, oh, you got to give your credit card, and no one's reading my messages. So huge fan of open chat. When I was at FastBlocks, that's what I used to manage the whole writing process. Not that sophisticated way, but it was enough to just have open chat and we could still be agile. Huge fan of open chat.
Nice. Yeah. Open chat also is like similar to WhatsApp, totally decentralized, but the good thing here, and you can send CKBTC, so you can send ICP directly, like in the instant messages to your friends, to wherever. You can pay like a beer, hey, I owe you $10. Okay, I send you like a couple of ICP tokens, whatever. And this is also fantastic, right? Maybe we need to have also the video calls in the open chat. This is maybe my only request to the founders, that sooner or later I think they can put the video calls. But for the rest, it's even better than Slack or WhatsApp.
That's going to be huge, because think about it. Like when they have the video calls, like if I'm an English teacher and I want to like do a lesson or something and I have students, I could just do that and they can do their payments right on open chat. Amazing. So when we were in Miami at Bitcoin, early this year, that's what we did on the ground in the conferences. We were like, hey, you want some free Bitcoin, and sending CKBTC through open chat. And some people were really amazed and like, wait, this takes 2 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
And there's no fees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And the other question is, what is your favorite project or the project that you see like have more potential that maybe now is a startup that you is like take your attention. It's like, oh man, this is like the founders or the project or the idea is something like resonate on my mind now. And I think this project maybe in 5 years could be like the next killer app or in 3 years, or if you have some project in mind, or
Yeah.
even if it's established, even if now
So
it does. Yeah.
any project that comes on ICP that with the goal of disrupting TikTok or Instagram, I will get behind. So I'm a huge fan of the vision of Hot or Not. I would say I'm not a huge fan of the app because they have a long way to go. I'm a huge fan of Rishi and Utkarsh. I think those guys are brilliant. It's very ambitious what they're trying to do. And if they succeed and pull it off, that's going to bring a ton of people to ICP. So, I would say that's like one project that I'm bullish is not the right word. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because if they can execute that vision,
Yeah.
then that's going to be a game changer. That's going to be a killer app on the ICP.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. And last question also, you see the news of Gold DAO, Gold DAO is finishing the SNS. What do you
Yeah.
think, right? This is a good example of how like real world assets can be part of the internet computer, and that's a crazy idea, right? Like you can through like NFTs, you can have like real gold that is in a vault in Zurich, and you can convert your NFTs through the tokens through the real gold.
Yep.
This is fantastic. Or for example, the Made in Italy also solution on the internet computer through Feder Italy. What is your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Because
this is a great question. And my thoughts, I'm going to throw you a little bit of curve here. I think on paper it's great, and I don't know enough about the audit process. Like my concern with anything like this, whether it's Gold DAO or whether it's GLD ETF or SLV ETF, which you're probably familiar with, which are
yeah,
claim to hold the real gold or real silver in the vaults, right?
yeah, true.
Is that who's auditing that? How do I know that the gold is real? Now, again, I'm not trying to FUD anybody,
Yeah.
but I'd like a little bit
In
more
that case,
information.
Metalor is behind the scenes. Metalor is the second biggest gold provider in the world, right? And
Okay.
that's crazy. When I listen like Metalor is behind the project, also Origin Foundation,
Right.
man, yeah, this is
Right.
like a
So I
game
think,
changer.
yeah, it sounds good. It sounds good on paper, and maybe like, for what you said, maybe like all these concerns that I have, if once I read the white paper completely, will go away. But yeah, I'm a believer not only in crypto, I'm a believer in gold and precious metals. So I definitely have to learn more about Gold DAO.
Hmm. Nice. Cool. Thank you so much, William Laurent. Laurent is from France. It's like, man, you're like North American, but your last name is not from North America.
Yeah, I did the 23andMe and got the test, and everybody was shocked that the French was only like 10%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like 10%. And because we can trace some of the relatives that came over from France around the time of the Civil War in the US, but most of it was, most of my blood is German and English, and the French was very little. So sort
Oh,
of wondering how the name was able to continue for 150 years.
wow. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you so much, man. It's
Thanks,
a pleasure
Javier.
to have you here. Let's keep your good job in the space, in the internet computer ecosystem. We need you. You are doing an amazing job. I love your songs, your articles, and all your posts. Keep it up, man. Good job. And thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time.
And if there's anybody in the ICP ecosystem listening that's not following me, please follow me. And when they follow me, please let me know so I can hit them back.
Sounds good. Thank you,
All
Will.
right.
Take care, man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.